So I am going to talk about my parenting and how to recognize and reteach the patterns with kids. At least I'm going to give you what I've done in my life with my son and how I've noticed these patterns. Coming up next. Hi, my name is Jacqueline Rose, and I do not think it's a coincidence that you're here. I think you're meant to be here. So if this message resonates with you, click like and subscribe to my channel. This channel is about everything spiritual and much, much more. So I was thinking about how I've mentioned in a few videos in the past how I started to recognize the patterns of wanting to change my son's behavior. And I was thinking about, like, okay, we know this, like, our kids are a molding of us. And so I switched, like, when I first found out or was discovering my son has these behavior issues and that he had the sensory processing, you know, as a parent, you're just kind of like, oh, fuck. You know, like, I was so determined as a child to change the parenting that I got. I wanted to be a better version of my parents, basically. And I always say I never noticed the patterns, but I started to notice the patterns that I was doing that were similar to my parents. Definitely noticed those patterns. And I was starting to see how my son is a combination of me and my husband. We know this is our kids, but it's literally like when you understand that your kids are in this hypnotic state when they're from birth to 7, I start to look at my son and go, oh, these behaviors are from us. And so it's like, okay, if I know these behaviors are from us, how do I change? How do I change the way he thinks? Like I said, I always felt like I wasn't good enough when I was younger. And then I saw the pattern in my son. And it may have not been like my mom. Like with my mom was an alcoholic. So I told myself because I wasn't this, and this, my mom would continue to drink and I couldn't get her to stop. So I was never good enough. And I would see those patterns in my life as a kid. Like I would always be like, look, I've done this. And it still wasn't like good enough to stop her from drinking. But she didn't drink because of me. She drank because of other shit that happened in her life. So then I started to see the patterns with my son. And because he had this sensory processing disorder and these delays, that like it would upset me and he would see that and then that would affect him because he would think, oh, this is a bad thing that I have this and it upsets my mom, when it really had nothing to do with my son. It had to do with how I thought I was a bad parent. So once you realize the pattern of it, even though it looks different, it's the same message, not good enough. And I saw these things that my son would say about himself, like, oh, it's hard as a parent. Sorry, I get emotional to see that in your children. Like, I understand what he's going through. He doesn't feel like he's good enough because he has these physical things that he can't necessarily handle. And so once I noticed the pattern, I said, what can I do? I've noticed the pattern. I can stop this generational pattern of messages. Because my mom probably got the same thing, so did my dad. Like, I see this. And so they made this combination of me. Okay, and then I had the same patterns. And so with my son, I was like, okay, we have to start switching his thinking around. Right? We have to get him to understand that this is a superpower, because it is, because when I had my spiritual awakening, all of my senses heightened as well. And so I could understand what was going on with him physically, that he couldn't handle things. And so it was a different viewpoint for my son. And so we had to also switch, I have to switch his viewpoint on himself to make him think, I am good enough, because he is. He has his own talents. And I've been telling people that, like, I was thinking, like, my son is great about getting up in front of people and talking to people. He's not shy. He'll talk to anybody. I'm so on that. I'm friendly. I'm getting a lot more friendly. I used to be very self-conscious and, like, if you got to know me, I was friendly, but it took me a while to kind of break through to people because I had a trust issue because of my upbringing. And I took that message on. So, but my son is super super, super friendly. So he takes that from my husband. And my son also has had problems controlling his emotions and his anger. And I would do that too, usually by myself. But sometimes I had an attitude problem. Sometimes my ego and because I would let things build a lot, and so I would just like explode. My son, he's a great combination of both of us, but then I had to look at, okay, if he is so good, sorry, tap dancing dog. But if he's so good at these things, where can I change what we concentrate on? So most kids like sports, not all, but most kids like sports. That's like the stereotype. Well, my kid's not coordinated because of some of these delays with his body and trying to understand, you know? And so what can I do to heighten that? So I just found, which I'm going to do after the new year, an improv class. And by me doing a video, this will hold my ass to it, doing an improv class for Jackson. And you just get on stage. And I was like, okay, he's good at this, so I'm going to press him on this. And we're not going to concentrate on the things that he's not good at. We're just going to work on him. We're just going to work on him slowly, and he'll get better and better at better. But then if I can take the thing that he's already really good at and give him a little bit more encouragement, then that thing of being friendly and in front of people and wanting to make people laugh, that thing can develop into something in all kinds of ways when it comes to life when he grows up. So it's all about just changing your mindset. And so I had to change his mindset. And that's what I'm doing. That's why I do 3 things of gratitude with him every morning. That's why probably 3 days a week on average, we are doing meditation. Like we just listen to stuff at night. I try to read to him 2 to 3 times a week. We kind of rotate on those. We, like last night, me, my husband, and him went on a walk because he's just kind of like, my son's not one that likes to like, unless he's playing pretend. He loves to run around outside and play pretend. And so that makes me like go, oh, then he can like, who knows what the fuck he's gonna do. He could get up in front of people and speak to them and act and make them, I don't know. I'm just saying, okay, these are his abilities. We can focus in on that. And so we went on a walk the other night because he isn't a kid that likes to run around too much. But that's something I was talking to my husband in the walk, and I'm like, he sees what we're doing. And if he sees us being friendly to each other and being respectful and talking and things and being physical, he sees me going to the gym. These are things that not right away, like you cannot change people by telling them what to do, even though I'm just trying to share my life with people and see how I figured things out and how I've adjusted things, and it's worked. So I'm just showing my experiments and just my life. Maybe somebody will go, that will fucking help me. And so, like, that's what I was telling my husband. Like, we show him, we change people. He even told me last night, he was like, you know, you've changed a lot, but thank you for not pushing your stuff on me. And I told him, I said, like, if 2 years ago my husband started to work out and started to eat right, like, I would have jumped on the wagon and he never said anything, like told me what to do. I would have saw his behavior and wanted to do that. So I said, I'm not going to change you by telling you what to do. I'm going to change you by showing you what I do and how it works for me. And then it's your life and your journey. So you do whatever you want. And that's the same with my son. I have to show him. Look what mommy did. And maybe it will sink in. That's how we affect people. We change. Each one of us changes to be better parents and better everything. And we just affect people and we change the world by this generation. If you have a child, you have this opportunity. If you have a grandchild, you have an opportunity to change their mindset and to being optimistic, because we are in a high energy time and we can manifest. So now that you know that you can manifest whatever you want. So anyways, I get off on a tangent. I hope you enjoy this. Much love. Oh, holler for a motherfucking dollar.